Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Vab Fashion's YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my channel, please kindly hit on the subscribe button to subscribe and make sure to put on your notification bell so you get notified once I post a new video. Thank you. And in this video, we're going to be learning how to make this lovely V-neck shirt dress with Mandarin collar and bishop sleeve. This is very simple to make and it is beginner friendly. I hope this is something you are interested in learning. Please stay tuned while we get right into the video. Thank you. So I'll be making use of this floral fabric for our shirt dress. And this fabric has a black pattern. It's up and down. At the upper part of the selvage area, we have this black pattern and we also have it on this side. So I'm going to be using this black part for my placket and also for the band on the sleeve. That's for the bishop sleeve, for the band on the sleeve and also for the collar. So right now, this middle part is what we'll be using to achieve our shirt dress. So I can't fold my fabric using the vertical length. I'll have to fold it horizontally. So here I have 3.5 yards of fabric. So I'm going to go ahead now and fold it so that we can see what we have. So first I'm going to fold this way, like this. The biggest circumference to determine the amount of fabric to fold. And here the biggest circumference is the hip. The hip is 38 inches. 38 divided by 4 is 9.5 plus 2 inches for my sewing allowance and then to open up at the end. So I need about 2 inches. So 9.5 plus 4, that's what I'll need, and that will be 13.5. So from here that I have the center front, this will be my center front. From here to here, I already have 13.5 inches. So you can see that I'm stopping at this point where I have this black pattern. So from here to here now, I have 13.5. So I'm going to iron it out and show us the next thing to do. My fabric, and from here to here I have 13.5 inches. So now I'll go ahead and cut out this black part that I'll be using for my placket. So I'm just going to cut it out like this. Okay. So I've cut it out so you can see where my fold ends now. So the next thing I'm going to do first is to draw my starting line. So this is now the shoulder line. So next I'm going to enter half of the shoulder measurement of my client plus half inch for joining the sleeve. Her shoulder measurement is 15. 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5 plus half inch, that will be 8 inches. I'm going to mark 8 inches here. And then next I'm going to mark the neck width I'll be using. I'll be using a neck width of 2.5 inches. At this 8 inches mark here where I have half of the shoulder measurement, I'll come down by 1 inch to create the shoulder slant. So now we have the shoulder slant. So from the shoulder slant here, that's from this 1 inch mark, I'll come down by her armhole measurement, which is the chest line, and that's 7.5 inches. So this is my 7.5 inches. I'll reconfirm the 8 inches I have here on the shoulder line. I'll mark it at this point. This is for me to have a straight line to connect to the shoulder line here. So here we are. So now this is the chest line. So next I'm going to mark the waistline. So from shoulder to waist is 16 inches. And then from shoulder to hip line is 24 inches. Then the full length of the dress is 60 inches. So plus my hemming allowance of 2 inches. So here I don't really need up to 2 inches hemming allowance because I'm going to have a curve at the down part. But this is so that the shirt dress can drop to the floor, that's to the ground. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead now and straighten my lines. So this is the waistline here, and then here is the hip line. So we already have the chest line. So here I'm going to enter quarter of the chest bust measurement. Quarter of her bust measurement is 9 inches. So plus 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So 1 inch is for ease, 1 inch is for my sewing allowance. So that's why I'm adding 2 inches to this point. So here on the waistline, I'll enter quarter of her waist measurement, which is 7.5, then plus 2 inches also. On the hip line here, I'm going to enter quarter of that hip measurement, which is 9.5, plus 2 inches also. And then at the hemline here, I'm just going to open it up by extra 1.5 inches. So what I have here is 11.5 inches in all. So I'm going to open up the down part with extra 2 inches. So that will be 13.5 inches. Okay. So I'll go ahead and connect the points. So now having done that, I'm going to come here to the armhole and get the midpoint of the armhole here. So the midpoint here, I'll just fold my tape into two to get midpoint of 7.5. And then I'll go in by 3/4 of an inch. And then this 3/4 of an inch, I'll connect it back to the shoulder tip like this. And then I'll connect this part to this point where I have the actual bust measurement. That's quarter of the bust measurement here. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is our neckline. Remember I said I'm using a neck width of 2.5 inches. I'm also going to be using a neck depth of same 2.5 inches. So I'm going to curve out the neckline like this. Okay. So now having done that, at the hem here, I want to have a curve at the hem at this part. So this is what I'm going to do. From the hemline here, from this 60 inches, I'm going to go up by 4 inches. So remember I said I'm going to be stitching this shirt dress with 1 inch as my side seam allowance. So I will come in by 1 inch at this point, which is the side seam allowance. I'll come in by 1 inch here. You can see that. So I'm going to now curve it to this part. So that 1 inch, which is my side seam allowance, is what I am working with at this point here. So I'm just going to mark that 1 inch here, and then I'll curve it. You can use your free hand, just do something like this. Can you see? Just bringing it down. So take note that the 4 inches I went up by is from the actual length, not from the hemming allowance. Okay, so you just give it any curve you want to give it. So this is what I want to have. So I'm going to bring in my scissors now and cut out the front piece. So because we are done with our front piece, so I'll be starting from the hemline here to cut it out. This is our front piece. And you see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut the neckline also. Okay, so here we are. So now for the back, I'm going to place the same amount of fabric, just the same 13.5 inches on fold. But the back is going to be longer than the front because the back shoulder will fall over the front. We are making a shirt dress. So I'm going to fold it and show us what I mean. So I've also folded my fabric for the back. You can see that I have my center front here and I also have my center back here. So this is where our back piece stops. So from the shoulder line here, from the toppest part of the shoulder here, I have a space of 1.5 inches. Can you see? This is about 1.5 inches here. This is because the back is going to be longer than the front, so it will fall forward. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch like I did for the front. And then I'll also mark my 2.5 inches neck width here also. So at this point, I'll come down by 1 inch here, and then I'll also connect it to this point where I have my 2.5 inches. Okay, so can you see that? So you can see that I have this space of 1.5 inches here. So automatically here too has that 1.5 inches, because this is where determining the 1.5 inches I added. And of course, because this is a slope, it will be wider here. So taking out 1 inch here, so now you can see that I still have 1.5 inches at this point. Can you see? So, and I still have the same thing here. So I'm going to go ahead now and mark a neck depth of that 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark my 1.5 inches here, and then I'll curve it out like this. So this is now our back neck depth. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and cut out the shoulder slant like this, and then I'll go ahead and trace out the armhole. But remember that the front we went in by 3/4 of an inch. For the back armhole, we go in by 1/2 of an inch. So at this midpoint, I'm going to go out by 1/4 of an inch. This is to reduce the back armhole to that 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to mark 1/4 of an inch now. So this is my 1/4 of an inch here. So I'm just going to straighten out the line like this. So this is now my back armhole. You can see that it goes out with 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to go ahead now and cut out the armhole like this. So you can see that the back armhole is wider. So I'm just going to trace out the same shape. Everything is the same. Then I'll also come here to the hem and follow the curve I have here. Okay. So now you can see that we now have our front and our back. So now this is what we are going to do. I'll first of all cut out the back neckline. That the front armhole is 7.5 inches. So right now you can see that I have added 1.5 inches to the back here. So this 1.5 inches, 1/2 inch will be for stitching the front and the back shoulders together. So that means the difference is 1 inch. And here I have 7.5. So that means I have above the armhole measurement of my client. So to make it equal, this is what I'm going to be doing. Remember I said here is 1.5 inches, and 1/2 inch will be for stitching front and back together. So we also need 1/2 inch that we will use to stitch the back to the front here. So which means here we're also going to need 1/2 inch on the front. So now this is what I'll do. I'll go ahead and cut out 1/2 inch from here, instead of taking out 1 inch from the front shoulder. So I'll be taking out 1/2 inch, so that the remaining 1/2 inch will be to stitch the both of them together. And so the 1 inch that is left from the back will make up the front. I hope we understand that. So now I'm cutting out 1/2 of an inch. So now this 1/2 inch I've taken out from this shoulder. This means that I am left with 7 inches. And I said her actual armhole is 7.5 inches. So that means by the time we stitch with 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here, we'll be left with 6.5. So that extra 1 inch that is coming from the back will make up the 7.5 inches. That for front and back. So this is what we're going to have. The back shoulder will overlay on top of the front like this. So next we're going to slash the center front open. Remember I said I'm going to be cutting a placket since we are making a shirt. So we're going to have the bottom placket at the center front. So I'm going to cut the center front opened. After slashing the center front open, the next thing to do is to cut the placket. To cut the placket, I'm going to take the measurement from the center front, that's from the neck depth here, the front neck depth, all the way down to the hem. And I have a length of 59 inches. So here I'll bring in the black fabric we'll be using for our placket. And then I'm going to cut a fabric on fold, 2 inches on fold, and then a length of 59 inches, which is what I have done already. So on fold, I placed 2 inches on fold, and you can see I've gone ahead to slash it open. So I have 2 inches in 2 places, and I also have the same thing here. So I have 4 pieces of this, and then you can also see that I have ironed my hasty to 8. So I'm going to place this fabric right side facing right side, and then I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch on half inch just on one side. So I'm going to do that and come back and show us. I also went ahead to cut my basic sleeve, and at the base of the sleeve I used the round armhole measurement at the base of the sleeve. This is so that I can gather the sleeve to the band. So just in case you do not know how to cut a basic sleeve, I'm going to drop the link in the description box so that you can watch and learn how to cut a basic sleeve. So I also went ahead to cut the fabric I'll be using for the band, and here the length of the fabric is 6 inches. So folding it into two, that will give me 3 inches. So this is the fabric I'll be using for my band. And then also the width of the fabric is the round wrist of my client plus 1 inch on both sides for my seam allowance. The length of the sleeve here that I have is also the full long sleeve length of my client, so that by the time I gather it to the band, this will actually give it that fold. We don't want to use the actual length. This is what I mean. The full length of my client sleeve is 23 inches. I want to finish sewing this sleeve and have about 25 inches so that it drops around the wrist area. I hope we understand that. So now for the front neckline, we want to adapt this front neckline to the V neckline that I showed us at the beginning of the video, because as it is right now, we have a round neckline. So we want this neckline to be a V shape in front. So now I'll come in from the center front. I'll come in by 1.5 inches from the center front. So, and this is it here. I'll mark my 1.5 inches, and then I'll go down by 4 inches here from the neck depth, and then I'll connect this 4 inches to this 1.5 inches I have here. So as you can see, I'm going to just connect it and then cut it out, and then I have the V shape I want to have in front. This is what our front neckline looks like. So you can see that the sides are rounded and then the center has a V shape. So that's for the neckline. The next thing I went ahead to do was to join the shoulders together of both the front and the back. And then I went ahead to fix my basic sleeve to the armhole. And then you can also see that I have fixed my band to the base of the sleeve. I gathered the sleeve, that's the base of the sleeve, to the band. And I've done it for both sleeves. And then I went ahead to shape the sides on my 1 inch seam allowance all the way down to the hemline. You see, so now the next thing we're going to do now is to sew the placket to the center front. So this is what my placket looks like. Can you see? I stitched it on one side like I told us earlier, and then I went ahead to iron the seam line open. Then I folded half inch on both sides, so you can see it is folded now, so I have 1 inch. So I'm going to place this placket from the wrong side of the dress. So from the wrong side, I'm going to pin it all the way down to the hemline. So you can see I opened up the placket and I'm pinning one side of the crease line to the wrong side. So I'm going to pin this all the way down, and then I'll take this to my sewing machine and stitch it. After stitching it from the wrong side, then I'll flip it over to top stitch the placket on the right side. So I'll do that and come back and show us the next thing to do. After stitching my placket, this is what I have. I stitched it on both sides. This is what it looks like on the wrong side of the fabric, and you can see what it looks like on the right side also. You can see I top stitched it neatly, and then I went ahead to hem the down part. I weaved it before hemming the down part. So now the next thing we're going to do now is to cut the collar. But you can see the neck depth here. I no longer have that sharp V shape we created because I have sewn my placket to it. I remember our placket didn't have the V shape. So I'm going to reshape this neckline to achieve that V shape. So from the outer part, that's the part my hand is touching now, from the outer part of the placket, I'm just going to come down by 1 inch to blend this into the neckline to achieve the V shape. Just take note of what I'm doing. Watch carefully, you will understand it very well. So you can see now that the outer part of the placket is now sharper, that is deeper, okay? So I'm just going to blend it well so that everything comes out well. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to measure the neckline so that we can cut our collar. So I'm going to fold it into two and measure from the center back. So you can either fold into two and take your measurement, or you can measure it open. So you measure at the same time. So folding into two now, I have 8.5. That automatically means I have 17 because it's on fold. Next, I'll bring in the fabric we'll be using for the collar, which is this black fabric. I'm going to measure 9.5. We got 8.5, so I'm measuring 9.5. That's plus my sewing allowance. So I'm just going to iron this, and then we'll go ahead and draft our collar. So first I'm going to mark the 9.5 that I'm going to use. So here is where my tape is starting from, one is the center back. So at this point where I'm marking my 9.5, that's going to be the center front. So next I'm going to measure a length of 3 inches. And then I'll mark it also on the other side and rule a straight line. So having done that, from the center front now, I will come down by 1 inch. So here from the center front, the point where I'm touching right now is the center front. So I'll go up rather by 1 inch. And then I'll get the midpoint of my 9.5. So the midpoint of 9.5 is 4 3/4. Then I'll go ahead and connect that 1 inch I went up by to the midpoint here. Can you see? So having done that, next I'm going to measure the length of the collar. Now I'm going to be taking my measurement upwards. So I'm marking 2 inches, and then I'm going to follow the curve as it is like this. I'll mark 2 inches. So you can see that our collar is not straight. So I'm going to use the curved part of my ruler to connect the points. So once I do that, at this side where I have the center front, I'm going to create a curve there. I don't want the collar to be straight around that side. So I'm just going to use my free hand to create a curve. So basically I came down with about 1/2 inch to create this curve. And this is what I have. So I'm going ahead to cut it out. So after cutting out this, I'm going to place it on the other side of my black fabric and cut two. That's cut the second one. That's what I meant to say, sorry. So I'll cut the second one. So that second one is going to serve as the lining. So I'm going to place it and cut it out. And then I'll go ahead and iron my haystay to the collar and show us the next thing to do. After ironing hasty to our collar, I went ahead to fold the base of one of the collar. So this one I folded the base is the part that will be showing on the right side of our shirt dress. So I'm going to take this now to my sewing machine and sew on the upper part on 1/2 inch. I'm going to sew in a curvy manner. After sewing it, I'll turn it to the right side and then stitch the side I didn't fold on the wrong side of the shirt, which is what I've done. Can you see that the side I didn't fold was the side I stitched to the wrong side of the neckline of the shirt dress? So the part with the fold, the 1/2 inch fold, is the part that I'll be top stitching on top of that. So I'll be top stitching in front. I beg your pardon. That's the part I'll be top stitching in front. So now I'm going to make sure that I tuck in all my rough edges, everything that is, I want to neatly tuck it in. So I'll tuck in all my seam allowances into this collar, and then I'll go ahead and pin it very well. You want to make sure that you pin this well. This will determine how neat and how aligned your collar will be. So you don't want to fix this collar and then the collar is longer than the main dress itself. So you want to make sure that every point aligns. So that center front, you want it to actually be a straight line. You don't want the collar to be longer than the center front. That's what I'm trying to explain to us. So I'm going to pin this round, and then I'll take this to my sewing machine and top stitch it. So right now we are almost done with our shirt dress. So I'll come back and give it a very nice press, and then fix my buttonholes and show us what it looks like on the mannequin. So right now, this is what our shirt dress looks like. It came out really beautiful. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something from this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm repeating that again because it is very important. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.